Okay, this is a recorded lesson for chapter 6, Model Cells, the basic unit of life. Okay, first I would like to repeat for you again the parts of a typical animal cell and a typical plant cell. Okay, let's look at the typical animal cell first. Okay, typical animal cell. Okay, in the cell we have a nucleus. Nucleus is central that controls all activities that occur within a cell. Okay, activities such as growth, repair, and reproduction. Okay, it contains, nucleus contains genetic material. Okay, this is the scientific term called DNA. There's no need for you to memorize the DNA, deoxyribonucleic acid. Okay, just know that the nucleus contains genetic material being passed down from parents to offspring. Example, if the parent has a brown hair, likely that the child may have a brown hair also, because the child actually inherit the genetic material from the parent. If the nucleus of the cell is removed, okay, it will cause the cell to die. Okay, next we have cell membrane. Okay, the outer layer that surrounds a cell. The function of cell membrane is to control the movement of substances into and out of a cell. Okay, partially membrane. The meaning of partially membrane means only allow some substances to go into the cell or out from the cell here. So it's partially permeable. Okay, it's a layer below the cell wall in the plant cell. For vacuole, fluid fill space within a cell. The function is for the vacuole is to store liquids, food, and waste materials. In a animal cell, basically the vacuole are small, and there are a few vacuole or numerous in animal cells. For some cytoplasm, cytoplasm is actually a jelly-like substance that fill up the cell. The functions for cytoplasm is a site actually where most chemical reactions take place. So these are the typical parts in an animal cell. Okay, take note of the highlighted portions, the highlighted part here. These are actually the important functions of the various parts in an animal cell. Okay, next we have a typical plant cell. Same thing, we have a nucleus. Okay, function of the nucleus, center that control all activities inside which take place in a plant cell. Okay, again, same thing. It controls genetic materials, okay, being passed down from the parents to the offspring. Okay, cell membrane, the outer layer that surrounds a cell. The function of a cell membrane is to control movement of substances into and out of a cell. And this time is also same thing, partially permeable. That means only allow some substances to pass in and out of the cell. Okay, it's a layer below the cell wall in the plant cell. Okay, for plants, very important, apart from cell wall, we have another layer, cell wall. One external layer called cell wall. It's a tough outer covering surrounding the cell membrane in the plant cell. The function is to protect and support the support the entire cell. Rigid, generally, the cell wall is rigid and gives the cell a regular shape. And always it allows substances to move in and out of the cell, and that's why they are totally fully permeable. Chloroplast. The plant cell also contains chloroplast. The function of chloroplast, it contains chlorophyll. Okay, let me write down the word chlorophyll for you. Okay, CHLOROPH. It contains chlorophyll. And the purpose of chloroplast is to allow photosynthesis to take place. Okay, let me erase this one. Okay, let me write down the chlorophyll for you again. Okay, the function of chloroplast is to allow photosynthesis to take place for the plants to make food. Okay, next one we have I've gone through cytoplasm. Okay, cytoplasm, same thing. We have cytoplasm also in an animal cell. Cytoplasm, jelly-like substance that fill up the cell. The function, site where most chemical reactions take place. So once again, for a typical plant cell, we have nucleus, cell membrane, cell wall, chloroplast. And one more thing, we have a vacuole. Okay, vacuole. A vacuole is actually the same thing. We have a fluid filled space within a cell here. The function is to store liquids, food, and waste materials. And for plant cell, we have a large central vacuole in plant cell. Okay, next we look at the biological, some drawing criteria how to draw either a plant cell or a typical animal cell. So in general, okay, let me go through some criterion, okay, for you. Okay, the drawing, okay, let me highlight it. The drawing occupied, so if you are given a space to draw a plant cell or animal cell, your drawing should occupy at least half, three-quarter, at least half to three-quarter of the space provided. That means your drawing of the plant cell or animal cell should not be too small. Okay, next thing, it should be the drawing line should be smooth and clear lines here, and it should not be shading. Okay, should not be shading. And drawing, you can do your drawing using a pencil. Okay, next thing, the cell structure example. The cell structure, it could be contains nucleus, okay, vacuole, okay, and so on here. So the proportions, it must be proportional in size. The shape of the cell structure in your drawing must be accurate here. Make sure it consists of various important parts in the plant cell or in an animal cell. The label lines, this is important. Okay, the label line, it should be drawn with a ruler. You can see here. Okay, this is a drawing which which I have here. So this is the cell membrane, okay, being labeled, okay, by a ruler, okay, by a pencil drawn in ruler here. Okay, nucleus, okay, cytoplasm here, and you notice that there shouldn't be any shading of the line here that you are drawing here. Okay, next thing, let me see here. Okay, label line do not have arrow. Do not put arrowhead. That means that I will not do this. That means I'll not put an arrowhead here for this labeling line or labeling here. So we don't do that here. Okay, no arrows. Okay, no arrow sign shown for your labeling line. Okay, these are some criteria that we have to adopt here when drawing a plant cell or an animal cell. Okay, this is one example. Okay, you can see the example that we have here. Okay, this is an onion cell. Okay, this is an onion cell. So we have a nucleus. Okay, vacuole, get a large vacuole inside the cell. Okay, cell membrane, nucleus, cytoplasm. Okay, of course, it's a plant cell. We have a cell wall. Okay, so it's something that we have to draw here. You notice that there should not be any shading for any line that you draw, and also using a straight line. Okay, to do the labeling here, and I will not put the arrow, okay, for the labeling line. So this is I show here an onion cell. Okay, next thing we can look at this stoma. So this is a figure shows a tiny opening known as a stoma on the underside of a leaf. It is surrounded by two gut cells. Okay, I'm here. I show you the two gut cells. Okay, the two gut cells, one here and one here, two gut cells. Okay, the gut cells are surrounded, of course, by other leaf cells also here. So same thing, the gut cell actually contains the cell wall, okay, cell membrane, nucleus, chloroplast, vacuole. So it's actually being labeled in the diagram. Okay, so the stoma being surrounded by two guts. Okay, the stoma surrounded by two gut cells. Okay, so I label clearly the one of the gut. Okay, the gut cells. We have cell membrane, cell wall, chloroplast. That means chloroplast, of course, it contains chlorophyll that help the plants to undergo photosynthesis to make food. Vacuole again. Then lastly, you have a nucleus, which is a very important part of the cell that controls all activity inside the cell. Okay, next one, we move on to how can we use models? How can we use model to represent typical plant and animal cells and make inferences about them here? Okay, so of course, okay, I will explain to you the benefits of using a model to draw either plant cell or animal cell. Okay, of course, the model, okay, the cell model will have its limitation. Okay, I'm also I will give you example of cells that are unlike a typical animal and plant cell. Okay, of course, based on the cell model, I am able to infer, okay, whether an organism is an animal or plant cell. Okay, using evidence from the cell. Okay, so example, if a cell contains, if the cell contains a cell wall, then I know it must be the organism must be a plant. Or if the cell contains chloroplasts, okay, then I know that the organism must be a plant. Okay, let's look at the cell models. We can use models of a typical plant and animal cells to understand cells better. So the cell model will show show characteristics of commonly seen in a plant or animal cell. As I told you just now, if it's a plant cell, it will contain cell wall. And these models are important for helping us to understand the cell structure and their functions. Okay, next thing, we can use the cell models to determine whether an unknown cell come from a plant or animal by comparing the cell against a typical plant and animal cells to get models. Okay, this table is important. Okay, let me highlight it for you. Okay, this table is important. Okay, we are here to, okay, maybe I use other color to highlight. Okay, we are comparing a typical plant cell and a typical animal cell. For plant cell, we have a cell wall. Okay, animal cell does not have a cell wall. Then the plant cell have a chloroplast. Animal cell does not have chloroplast. Okay, for plant cell, we have a large central vacuole. Again, an animal cell with numerous small vacuoles. Okay, and plant cells usually they are larger than animal cells, and animal cells generally they are smaller than plant cell. Okay, I would like you to know all the to compare, okay, to be able to compare a typical plant cell and a typical animal cell. So make sure you memorize this table. Okay, inferring the type of a cell. Okay, some cells are different, okay, from typical plant and animal cells. So example, root hair cells lack, okay, they do not have a chloroplast. And red blood cells, or red blood cell, they do not have a nuclei. Nuclei. The nucleus is the singular form. Okay, nuclei is the plural form. Take note of the spelling. Okay, next thing, we can infer whether an animal cells, unknown cell, share the same characteristic as a typical plant or animal cell based on the cell model. Okay, let's go through some special cells like root hair cells. They do not have chloroplasts. The root hair cells are underground most of the time. Okay, hence they will not have access to sunlight for photosynthesis. Okay, root hair cells are specialized in absorbing water and nutrients for the plants. Okay, next we look at red blood cell. The red blood cell, the purpose of a red blood cell or function of a red blood cell is to transport oxygen around the body. A mature red blood cells do not have nucleus because they want to maximize the amount of oxygen to be stored inside the cell. Of course, the purpose of the red blood cell is to transport oxygen to all parts of our body. Okay, next one, let's look at some fun facts. Okay, some special plants and animal cell. You can see here. This is the one that I showed you just now, the stoma. Okay, then the gut cell. Okay, the gut, these two gut cell. The gut cell control the movement of gases into and out of the leaves here. That's the purpose of gut cells. Okay, then example. Okay, the okay, you can look at this yourself. Okay, and also this one, a neuron conducts electrical signals throughout our body to send signals to all parts of our body. Okay, next one we look at the okay, Igrina actually have characteristics of both plant and animal cells. Yeah, how did they have characteristics of both plant and animal cell? Okay, so the evidence we have here is the Igrina cell have a chloroplast to make food. So this is actually characteristics of a plant cell. Okay, also they can actually swim in water to absorb food particles from their surrounding here. So it functions like an animal which can move around here. Okay, scientific endeavor. A new classification of living things was actually created to accommodate organisms that have characteristics of both plant and animal cells. So I think we learned this before, huh? When new evidence is found, the scientific community will start to debate and evaluate here how reliable the evidence is. Is the evidence true? Okay, before actually reaching an agreement on the next step here to take and to take. Okay, if the scientific model should be changed here. Okay, let's look at some questions here. Okay, all plant cells contain chloroplast. Answer is false. Okay, remember I told you before, the root hair cell does not contain chloroplast because the root hair, the cell of the roots, root hair cell, they actually all the time they stay underground, so they are not exposed to sunlight, so they do not have a chloroplast to actually to undergo photosynthesis. And the purpose of root hair cell is actually to absorb water and other mineral materials. And both plant and both animal and plant cells do they contain? Okay, let me erase it first. Okay, both animal and plant cell contains cell membrane, cytoplasm, nucleus, and vacuole. Answer is true. Okay. Okay. Lastly, let me check through. Okay. Let me go through all these success criteria with you again here. So I'm able to state the benefits of cell models in representing either plant or animal cells. Okay, I'm able to state the limitations of the models in representing cells. Okay, lastly, I'm able to give example of cells that are unlike a typical animal and plant cell. Okay, then lastly, I'm able to infer whether an organism is an animal or plant cell using evidence from the cell structure it has. We come to the end of this recorded lesson. Thank you.